See that we have a quorum. So I'd like to have Jeff Parker now lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand if you would, please, and follow after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty for justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
You have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam President, if I may ask for the voting to do by roll call, so we may have everyone present and accounted for.
Okay. Are you going to do it by roll call? Or do you want me to?
I certainly can. One moment.
Okay.
Director Carpenter?
Yes.
Vice President Fitzcomb? I will move to Vice President Troutman.
Yes.
Director Garthoffner.
Yes.
Director Horton.
Yes.
Director Perrick. Director Moldow. Director Mattson. Director Tibbetts.
He may not be able to hear you.
Director Tibbetts, are you able to hear me? There is. Always good. I'll go. Would you like to raise your hand on the screen?
Thank you.
Director English?
Yes.
And Director Sebelson?
Yes. Joe's back now.
That concludes.
And so we have unanimously that the motion has been approved. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the March 3rd, 2020 regular open session meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Are there, you second it, but are there any changes or deletions? If not, all in favor of the minutes to be approved? All in favor? Are we going to do roll call again, or are we just going to raise our hands? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Jim
One,
Jim
two.
Matson is raising his hand.
Okay. All right, so, Grant, do you see that this has been approved?
Yes, I see that it has unanimous approval.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the only thing I want to say as chair remarks is about the events that happened this week. They were so important, the most critical news in the county of Orange entered into contract with the Ayers Hotel to temporarily house a medical facility for homeless individuals who have either already contracted or are at a high risk for contacting COVID-19. All the boards take this very seriously, oppose the county's action. So yesterday, we received such good news that the Ayers Hotel withdrew their agreement to house these individuals. And I want to say I am so appreciative of the dedication of our staff and our lawyers in acting so quickly. I think it made a very big difference. So Laguna Woods does not roll over in a crisis. Okay. So, Judith, you're next for the report on the disaster preparedness.
Okay, I don't know if Carlos was going to be able to be with us today. I was in contact with him. Just I wanted to give a brief history. Years ago, we adopted through a task force that was just made up of volunteers, a emergency operating plan. Then in 2016, when Chief Moore came in, it was determined that our EOP in place at that time lacked certain information to manage a community of this size in a major disaster of any origin. So in February of 2017, we hired the best consultants in the business to upgrade our emergency operating plan, which gave us a more comprehensive emergency plan that included best practices and was consistent with state, local authorities, so much so that we partnered with them. And the agencies we partnered with were the City of Laguna Woods, Orange County Fire Authority, El Toro Water District, ARC Disaster Program Manager, Orange County Health Agency, Orange County Sheriff's Department, and Southern California Edison plus Southern California Edison at SONGS, or at the Nuclear Center. So from there, the OP has been online for the last 4 years and available to all residents. The first EOP was officially approved by GRF in May of 2017 for the 30-day review, and then on June 6th of 2017, it had its final approval. We haven't reviewed it since then, but there's several places in there. Of course, it's really 90% geared towards something like an earthquake or fire, but it also refers to something like we're going through right now, a CDC disaster. So I guess since Carlos wasn't here, he was going to, and Jeff can do this, tell us some of the first steps that we initiated in the emergency plan. And for overall, I think I have to commend staff. I thought we did a pretty good job. I've been keeping track of what we've been doing. I'll talk more about the buses when we get there and what they've been doing. But that's my report to date. And Jeff, without anything after that.
Good morning. This is Carlos Rojas, the Security Director.
There you are. Okay. You're on.
Okay. I did hear the update from Judith. Thank you very much. And good morning, President Carpenter and directors. And I do want to briefly touch on some of the initial steps that we took. And this public health crisis really has put our emergency operations plan to the test. And I would agree with Ms. Troutman in terms of it being an excellent plan because it's really come to play in this crisis. So some of the initial steps that we took were discussing the vulnerabilities that we had. So we immediately became in contact with Orange County Health, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, Orange County Fire Authority, and then also we were monitoring 24/7 the guidelines from the federal government, state, and also our local government. We also took a personnel inventory in terms of the staffing that we had available to be able to continue our essential services to the village. And we've had extreme executive coordination with all the executive staff members. And I know Mr. Parker has been updating the presidents of the various boards as to that coordination. And then we also did an equipment inventory. As you know, no one was expecting a public health crisis to this magnitude. So right away we had to inventory what respiratory equipment, what personal protective equipment we had available for staff. And then we also looked at a communication strategy. And then Eileen Paulin and her staff were critical in getting the information out, not only in hard copy initially, in terms of our facilities, but eventually on TV6 and also on the website. And then we also, in the initial stages, did a facilities inventory as well. What events were going on, what facilities might have to be closed. And as we discussed all of these various components of our emergency operations plan at the beginning stages, we came up with a three-prong approach, and we went with a phased-in plan. As the pandemic became more serious, we would institute more of the components of our emergency operations plan. So we broke it up into 3 phases. And right now we're currently in what we're calling phase 2. So we haven't officially activated our emergency operations center. We spoke about activating our emergency operations center, but it really is counterintuitive to what we're doing here, because really this public health crisis is about providing information and changing behavior. And it's counterintuitive to have everybody all in one room. So what we've done, we've instituted incident command system components, and we just haven't been collecting each other in one room where it would put us in close proximity to each other. So while all the components of our emergency operations plan are in place, we have not activated our emergency operations center at this point in terms of all being collected in one area. We do have various discussions if we were to have to open up the emergency operations center there at the community center. We have activated the phone lines, and we are prepared to do so if we need to do that. But at this moment in time, we are dealing with a different type of event than your traditional earthquake, which might require different resources than what we have today. So we're consistently evolving and changing with what's going on. We were very surprised, as President Carpenter mentioned, about the Ayers Hotel. We kind of got blindsided by that, and then we had to adjust some resources towards that. But overall, I would agree with Ms. Troutman in terms of things moving along as smoothly as possible, considering the situation that we're faced with. And we have adjusted staff schedules. We've limited our services to those essential services. And I know all this was through the approval and support of the board. And then I know, speaking on behalf of staff, we're very appreciative of the support that we have received from the boards. And that concludes my presentation.
And I'd like to close with one thing, Bunny.
Okay.
The questions come up is, why did we need an emergency operating plan in the first place? Three main reasons. It's a federal requirement from the Robert Stanford Disaster Relief Act, the State of California Government Code 8607, which is the standardized emergency management system called SEMS. You've probably heard of that more than anything, SEMS. And then it's required for eligibility to receive state and federal mitigation acts or damage reimbursement, which, like FEMA, in addition to, well, we really wouldn't have much physical damage, we will have monetary damage. So partnering with these people way back several years ago was important for this reason. That qualifies us for damage reimbursement. That's all I have. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I noticed, that in these various countries, one of the things that they have been done is they take temperature of people. And I'm just wondering if we could provide our greeters with the appropriate masks and shields, gloves, and a thermometer, the ones that they just put up against the forehead, on people coming into the community to check whether or not they have temperature. And if they do, turn them around and don't allow them in.
I don't think this is appropriate at this particular time. This is a report, not a comment. Thank you.
Well, it's just a question in terms of what we've been doing and what we might be doing. Carlos, did you hear that?
Yeah, I turned it back. As maybe Bert would want to bring that up in the disaster recovery meeting. I don't know if it's even possible or how it would happen. So I don't think at this point in time that the staff or the board could give a good learned answer. So, Jeff, are you ready for your report?
So maybe I can address a couple of things under the CEO's report, and just to go back in closed session, there are a couple of personnel items that I will be updating the board on, and one of them will be a discussion with regards to our operation of our gates. So in closed session, I'll be able to maybe fully answer that question that was just raised. With regards to my report, the most important thing is which all of the board members I believe know, the good news from yesterday. We put together a team, as you know, from direction to put a legal team together, which made up of Sandra Gottlieb, Kelly Richardson, and Jeff Beaumont that represent the mutuals and their teams. And we put together a package that we filed with the courts yesterday morning with regards to a temporary restraining order and injunction to stop the activity that was planned for the Ayers Hotel. During the late and Sunday night, as we were preparing that, I did get a phone call from Don Ayers III indicating that they were working on a compromise, but he had asked me to keep that confidential until the next morning. And because of that, we went ahead and filed, and we're going to have a hearing on Tuesday. When we submitted the information to the plaintiffs, when we submitted the information to the other parties, which is legally required, the county responded back that it was a moot point since there had been a termination to the lease between the heirs and the county. They sent us a copy of that information, and we were able to verify with our conversation with the heirs and seeing the document that the heirs had the heirs had gone through with rescinding or requesting the rescission of that item, and so there will no longer be a COVID-19 homeless shelter at the Ayers Hotel, which is great news for our community. And again, reiterating on Channel 6, we had a press conference yesterday. I just want, again, thank all of our residents for making the phone calls that they did and the emails that they sent, and all the board members for your actions and your support. I think getting the word out like we did was very fortuitous with regards to putting pressure on the county supervisors and the county staff. And I think in my conversation with the heirs, I think they, Don Ayers, indicated that, they were strongly swayed by the county with regards to meeting a health and safety requirement, and probably in all reality, just in hindsight, didn't take into the context where the hotel was with regards to all of our community. And so they thought about that over the weekend, took it back to their family members, and then made the request to rescind that. So we're thankful that they did that. Certainly expedited the process, so we didn't have to go through a court hearing and all of that to get it accomplished. I wanted to also mention, secondly, that we on Friday completed our process of furloughing approximately 200 employees. That's full-time and part-time. And they received their letter from me indicating that we were furloughing them until June 1st, that we hope to bring them back sooner, depending on how this whole COVID-19 process plays out with the state and Orange County. They received their vacation payout, which is a requirement under state law to do that. Those employees will continue to have health benefits through the month of April. And also in closed session, we will be discussing with you some information with regards to health insurance with regards to the month of May. As I indicated before, if we get the go-ahead from the state and local health officials that we can once again have non-essential activities out there in the community, then we will bring those employees back as soon as possible for that operation. And I think that concludes my, I did want to mention that we're reopening gates that we had closed. And with regards to those gates, the new hours will be from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. We brought back some of our non-essential staff that would indicated that they wanted to come back and work. We had some additional hours by opening up those gates. And so we have that schedule set up, and those gates should be open tomorrow, and will be in operation again from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So there was a lot of emails that we received from residents about closing those gates and concerns about the public safety access into those gates. So that will, I think, help relieve that. Public access as far as the safety element, fire and police, they can get in the evenings, whether it's staffed or not staffed. And they could also do that during the days when it was staffed or not staffed. So it never impacted the public safety equation, but this will just make it a little more convenient. And then, like I said, in closed session, I have a couple of personnel items that I want to bring up. And that concludes my side of the report. Siobhan does have a couple items.
Good morning, President, members of the board. I just want to remind our residents to complete the 2020 census. Every resident should have received an invitation to participate in the census in mid-March. Residents can respond online, by telephone, or by mail. And if they have not received an invitation by now, they will need to reach out and get another one. Self-response to the 2020 census takes on greater significance at this time. It will help with planning for emergency situations such as the one we're currently experiencing. It will also help protect residents and census employees by avoiding in-person visits during the non-response follow-up period, which occurs from the end of May to July. And if you have not received your invitation to the census or you need help completing your census form, the City of Laguna Woods City Hall is a 2020 Census Assistance Center, and you can receive help by calling 949-639-0500. Again, that's 949-639-0500, or you can email the city at cityhall@cityoflagunawoods.org. Again, we encourage everyone to fill out their census forms to avoid follow-up visits from census takers and to help the community be represented in the 2020 census. And this is key because it allocates funding to our community, helps determine the number of representatives in our state and federal governments, and so forth. So please look for your census form and get that completed as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody, any speakers for the open forum?
We do have some comments for the open forum.
How many do we have?
Let's see. We have 15.
15? Wow. Okay, if we have 15, then we need to change the time and basically limit the amount of time, to 2 minutes each. So the speakers may address the board of directors regarding items not on the agenda. And within the jurisdiction of the board of directors of the Gold Rain Foundation, there is a maximum time limit. We're going to say 2 minutes, okay, per speaker. And a speaker may only address the board once during this period. So we do reserve the right to limit the time for open forum, and I basically want to make sure that we don't mention any names, and that is for your own protection. So who is the first speaker?
It's Legia Sartor, manor number 3467A. And it's just a comment. It says, he says, "Don't mess with the seniors" should be Laguna Woods' motto. A 2-year newly resident.
I like that. The next speaker?
Next speaker is Nalani Madawani, manor number 3435, P as in Paul. Says, "Please communicate with all board members that the organization who own the village should buy Eris Hotel. As the village owners get guests, they will have some place to house their guests, and if you keep it reasonable rate, you will find it profitable. Thank you."
Thank you. Next speaker?
Patricia Reyes, manor number 2083, E as in Edward. "A heartfelt thanks to all for protecting Laguna Woods community from pending disaster. I think a special fund or potential gift fund should be set up for everyone that worked on the Eris Hotel COVID-19 project. I am certain a lot of Laguna Woods residents would like the opportunity to show their appreciation to the staff. Regards."
Thank you. And we have the next speaker?
Irv Wayland at 955 The Towers. "I understand the concern of many or most of our community's residents of creating a medical center in the Eris Hotel for the treatment of some of who have already contracted the virus. I just hope they get a good care if any get the virus. I consider the Eris Hotel as a reasonable solution to the care of some of those who have been unfortunate in contracting the disease. It may have been due to carelessness or due to dwelling conditions and/or a difficult in avoiding proximity to others. It should not have to be death sentence. The Eris Hotel is distant from any of our dwellings. The patients will already be diagnosed with having the virus and will certainly be constrained to the hotel while sick. I do not believe there is any likelihood of the patients leaving the building while sick unless it is confined or cured. I also think the medical facility adjacent to the Eris would be a little risk. If the patients are restrained to the hotel, when patients are released, it is expected they would be transported to their place of residence, being a home or shelter or whatever at considerable distance from our city. Your decision has been made. I only recommend a discussion and rethinking by your members as to whether this is the way they would be treated. It would be terribly ironic if we get careless and need such help ourselves. Respectfully, Irv Whalen, Towers residents.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Susan Modell, Manor number 3314A. Many residents are following the counts of infections of coronavirus that the OC Public Health Department posts daily on the internet. So far, there have been no statistics for Laguna Woods. At one time, the explanation seemed to be that our cases were too few to post, as cities with fewer than 5 cases are not reported. However, given the numbers that are now being posted for Laguna Hills, Laguna Niguel, and Lake Forest, it is hard to believe that Laguna Woods has fewer than 5. Whatever the reality, I implore our leadership to publicize the figures. In the absence of facts, fear predominates. We can cope with the numbers if we know that they are what they are. Please promise the residents that whatever the facts, when you have them, we'll have them too. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Miles Pruitt, 3466A. Please express our gratitude to all of the elected officials and representatives in our Laguna Woods community for the quick and effective response to the Eris Hotel episode. Our community is very grateful.
Makes me cry. Next speaker.
Ken Rainick and Karen Conrad, 5514A. I'm sending this in now to hope that you can address today. My fiance and I live at 5514 Paseo del Lago West, Unit A. Directly across from the greenbelt from us is an unoccupied unit which is being renovated. Ordinarily, this would be no big deal, but we are not in ordinary times. We are in a shelter-in-place mode. Firstly, there are every day 2 to 3 outside workmen coming into our community to do this work. Who knows what they could be bringing in the viruses with them. Secondly, we are using power saws and hammering from 7:30 a.m. sometimes to 5:30 p.m. every day. Meanwhile, we at our neighbors are stuck at home, sometimes unable to get needed rest due to the constant noise disturbances. We let it go last week, but it's continuing, and was shocked when I called security to find out that although I was originally read that only necessary community construction or repairs were to be done during shutdown, that our boards had changed that ruling, and if permitted construction, even renovations would be allowed. I strongly feel that should we be changed back and only necessary Laguna Woods community work or necessary resident repair would be allowed. There is no reason a major renovation could be put off for a few weeks to allow sheltering-in residents to rest and have some peace in these already stressful times. Please address this today. We and many upset neighbors will be watching. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Sincerely, Ken and Karen.
Thank you. Next speaker.
This is from Cash Akrakar, 201E. Every company, for profit or not, must utilize all its strengths to make it sure improves or at least sustains itself for a long time. What I have to say should really have come from the board of directors of GRF and not from me. But when mountain doesn't come to Mohammed must go to the mountain. Our retiree brain is a huge and unique asset we have, and we are not fully utilizing it for our growth and sustainment. In reality, it is a huge national asset that we are making disappear as our residents leave this world. It is something we can put together to the local GDP, if not nationally. We have over 0.5 million man-years of all aspects of business acumen that our retired residents bring with them. Granted, most do not want to continue their previous life they have hung their hat from. Yet almost everyone wants to leave a legacy. Everyone wants to leave some mark on the world that they are going to be leaving sooner or later, as everyone must go. Also, different talent at this stage in their life can not be used individually. A proper blend of various facets of expertise must come together to be highly effective for contributing to this world. This activity needs to local and bring such individuals with talents who have knowledge in specific fields to apply such talents to resolve local industry, to disseminate their legacy by training the next generation as applicable. It cannot happen single-handedly or overnight. Such talents need to be located and enticed to come forward. And applications must be put forth with a win-win proposition. Lots of brainstorming, get-togethers are necessary. I am willing to lead the effort and willing to donate my own and highly valuable products for the world. This is the moment we can introduce this aspect of our value to the world as to how proactive Laguna Woods senior community is.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Andre Torn, 389Q. His particular comment for this particular open forum is, how do mutual board members attend a closed meeting?
I didn't hear you.
How do mutual board members attend closed meetings?
We'll have answers after everybody has spoken.
Of course. Okay. Next one is Dick Rader, 270D, as in David. Actually, this is on a different agenda item. Sorry about that.
We're not hearing you.
Sorry about that. Next one is Kate Jacobs, 618A. What is being done to make the
Do we have
lawn?
any more speakers?
Yeah. Kate Jacobs, 618.
Slow network connection.
Is-
Turn off webcam.
Are you unable to hear me, President
So I'm.
President
Ignore.
Carpenter?
Okay, and now I can. Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Kate Jacobs, 618A. What is being done to make the laundry rooms a common area safe from contagion?
Okay. Next speaker.
Celine Wendy, 3269C. We have resources in the sewing room to make masks. Why the village could not set up a guarded system where they have security take temperatures so we can use the sewing room.
Okay, next speaker.
John Dernbinger, 764, N as in Nancy. Will escrow be closing on properties at this time?
Good question. Okay, next speaker.
Ellie Zimmerman, 3247A. Regarding disaster preparedness, what is being done in regards to the building captains and what plans is there in the future for them checking in on residents?
Okay. Next speaker.
Robert Williamson, 712Q. The recent gate closures have been a great decision towards limiting non-essential entry into the community. With the gates said to reopen this week, Mr. Williamson believes we do not need all the gates open at this time and wants the board to consider extending the closures on the village gates.
Okay, next speaker.
Glenda Joyner, 5166. Would like to express hats off to the mayor and mayor pro tem, but we have a job to do. Due to the Heiress being the only hotel in Orange County to accept the offer of money to house this virus in our community is nothing more than greed. Going forward and talking to many residents, we have decided to boycott this hotel. Our family from out of state that stay there for convenience of being closed to us to have fun will cease. I urge every resident here to join in. Our money will not be in the greedy pockets of the Heiress family.
Next speaker.
And that's it.
That's it. Okay. Is there any responses from the directors on any of these items?
Okay, you want me to go?
Sure.
Okay, Irv Whalen. He's stating basically that it was a good thing because these patients would not get out. And I think he was unaware that they were talking about 2 security offices when there are 4 exits to that building. That's number one. Secondly, we have to concern ourselves not only with the patients, but with the potential of carriers. The workers that are working there are going to go across the street. They're going to go shopping. They're going to go to the drugstore. They may go over to the sub shop. And so there's still a way of spreading the virus. And I think what has happened, of course, makes this all mute. I agree with Cash's statement about our wasting the talents of people within the community. But I know we've tried time and time again to get people in the community involved in coming to committee meetings, using their skills, their talents, their knowledge. And I guess this is just something that we've got to keep on working on and stating the importance. And perhaps we need to find some other way to incentivize these people. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bert. Is there any other speakers? Judith?
Yeah, I'll respond to Ms. Zimmerman. And I'm sorry you missed this, but we did have a conversation with the within the task force itself, and the question came up right away: is it okay and safe for the Good Neighbor captains to go and visit their neighbors? Well, we left it up to the Good Neighbor captains through an email that was sent from Carlos's office, that if they felt safe enough, if they had a mask and they had gloves, and they felt safe going door to door to their assigned buildings just to get a check on people, and you don't have to report back unless they requested help, then that would suffice. So we sort of left it up to the discretion of the Good Neighbor captain if they wanted to do that or not, if they felt safe, and did they have the proper gear or protection to do that. So that was that went out to the Good Neighbor captains like the first week, and so other than that, I thought it would have followed in maybe some kind of a newsletter to the entire village. But I hope that answers your question. And then I'll just follow up with Bert, what he said, that, yeah, we have a lot of talent, and if someone wants their talent to be used, we've always got board openings, no matter where you live. There's usually a board opening once or twice a year, and that's the best way to use those talents. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Joe?
Yes, I just want to respond to the comment about Clubhouse 4 and the sewing machines making masks. I received an email from that lady, and it was a very kind thought of hers to try to help the community out by providing masks for them. I did forward her email through Recreation. I think, Bunny, you'll get a copy of it as well. I don't know what our legalities are, what our logistics are in allowing that type of thing. So we'll see if it's a yes or a no. But I just want to appreciate the fact that there's a resident out there that's doing nothing else than want to help other people be safe. So I want to thank her for her efforts.
Thank you. Annette?
Hi, I speak to the sewing issue too. While it's a kind issue, that, how do you control when somebody's done using the sewing machine? These are mechanical, machines, and then they have to be sanitized every time somebody goes in and uses the machine and everything else around it. I just think that at our age, that if you have a sewing machine at home, that is fine, and you usually have supplies and materials and you can donate there. But to open it up, how would we police it, in terms of sanitation? Not so much we're worried about disruption, but to keep everything clean. So I did read an article like this in the paper, and the woman that brought it up wasn't a sewer. I thought that was a bit unusual, but I understand the kindness and the heartfelt thoughtfulness and appreciation, but I don't think for our employees that's or the sewers themselves that's wise at this juncture. I think if you had a personal machine that you could come and sit down and take a break, it was easier. My thoughts on that. And then the other one was on the Robert Williamson about 712Q, about we do not need all the gates open at this time. I understand that from a safety perspective, but also a lot of people were writing in about the fact that for emergency vehicles, it's just easier. We keep them closed, from 7 to 11, most of the other gates. So I do support what we've had to do for the village as a whole. And then the only other thing I thought about was the Ken Reinick and Karen Conrad. I'm not so sure that isn't why we do control the access to the gates. That isn't also a third one, but if you bought a place here and you're having it worked out and you have all the permits and all the approvals, that's the only way. We said we wouldn't issue any new approvals or anything else during this time, but we would let people complete it because, they still have vendors to pay, bills to pay, mortgages and things like that. So I don't know if Jeff and you can speak on that, but it is unfortunate for everyone, but this whole situation is unfortunate. Thank you.
Anyone else on Egon?
Yeah, I have two comments. One for Cash. I agree with what you're saying, and there may be some way we can use some of the expertise that you have discussed, and I'll talk to you about it. Other question, somebody came up about how can we staff keep the laundry rooms and other common areas. You really think about it, if somebody goes in and cleans something up, and you can't clean it 24 hours a day, so they walk away, somebody uses it, and now you have the potential release for contamination. So everybody that goes in there, and this goes for elevators and railings that you use, just realize that we can't keep it 100% clean, so you have to take care of that before you start using the facilities. So, thank you.
Funny, me.
Okay. Is that Annette?
No, that's Yvonne.
Yvonne, okay.
Okay. First, I wanted to thank all those people that were giving kudos to our team. The VMS people did a great job along with our attorneys. And thank you to all that recognize that. The other thing is, it's my understanding that the washrooms are being cleaned and sanitized twice a week now instead of once. So anyway, that's all. Thank you. Thank you to all.
I think Jeff can speak on the restrooms too, because I understand that most of them are closed except for just one along the creek. Is that correct, Jeff?
That is correct. And I just wanted to reiterate on the cleaning of the laundry facilities, we doubled down. So we were doing it once a month, and now we're doing it twice a month. So we have increased the activity for the cleaning of all the laundry facilities.
Thank you. Is there any other speakers? Did you raise your hand, Annette? No? Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. And now we'll go to the consent calendar. So all matters under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by the board by one motion in the form listed below. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be subject to further discussion and action of the board. So A is recommendation from the Finance Committee, consistent with its statutory obligations, subcommittee of the board consisting of the treasurer and at least one other board member reviewed and approved preliminary Golden Rain Foundation financials for the month of February 2020, and by this vote ratified that such review be confirmed in this month's board meeting member open session meeting minutes. Are there any objections? I don't hear any objections. Okay, so the consent calendar is approved. So now we have unfinished business. So do I hear a motion to approve the revised GRF committee appointments? Basically, Egon, are there any changes? I didn't see any changes on here myself.
Oh, I did not see any changes.
Okay, so basically all in favor. Okay. I see Judith. Okay.
Yeah, I think it said on the Clubhouse one there was two highlighted: John Peristone from 3rd and Robert Mucknick. I think they were just left off last month, and so that's the only highlighted one I have on mine. I think they were just added.
I agree with you. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Do I have a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the motion is passed. The next item on the agenda is a motion to adopt a resolution to update the rules of GRF board meetings. Do I have a second? Or a motion? First, a motion first.
I move that we adopt the Golden Rain Foundation rules for board meetings.
Do I have a second? Okay. Discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to amend that. I had submitted to the board a whole list of corrections and additions. I don't know, do we want to go through these?
Well, I pulled up your email, so I pulled up some of the information, and then basically there were edits. Okay, so
Some were edits, some were modifications, actually changes.
Right. So, do you want me to go? This is 2 pages. Do you want me to go through each one? Regular board meetings. Non-members may attend only at the discretion of the board of directors, and it says. Bert asked what provisions have been established to determine if an attendee is or is not a member. If none exists, the statement is meaningless. He also suggests that we revise first sentence to read, a mutual member may request in writing, and change may to must. I can understand that. Another one was, does the board really want to restrict reporting of an event which might have occurred subsequent to the committee meeting, which would have a significant impact on item being reported? For example, a sudden CPUC approval of a rate increase, electrical rate, would this not warrant mentioning? I don't have an answer to that. Members are it's add to the third sentence, members are not to discuss items that are on the agenda. And then he says, we need to change the first sentence as we no longer have people raise their hands. We mentioned that the last time. I'm sure this needs to be incorporated.
Yeah.
Should read, members wishing to speak in open forum during agenda item discussion must complete a speak form and submit it to the staff member responsible. The staff member will check the member name and unit to validate membership status and announce the member's name when their turn comes. So the next one is update to current procedures. So it says during board deliberations, open forum, members indicating a desire to speak by having completed a speaker form and submitting it to the staff, member responsible may speak up to 3 minutes when called upon. That sounds reasonable. There were some Scribner errors there. Change F4 and add the end of the first sentence and could result in removal of offenders. Since I don't have that particular page before me. Okay, so then it's another Scribner, and then it says list paragraph third line change when standing in line to speak for to when called upon to speak for. That sounds reasonable. Last line, add end of sentence or a member, and then it said closed a session hearing. We need to add the inclusion of assigned attendees from the HOAs and all rules pertaining to their attendance. So the last was the question, can a member request removal of an item from the consent calendar? If so, is that accomplished? So those were Bert's remarks. I think that we can actually approve and then review these comments and before the 28-day review.
Okay. It's okay with me? Yeah. That'll be fine.
Okay. Is there any other comments? All right, okay, Judith?
I'll second Bert's amendment.
Okay. All those in favor? 1, 2, okay, 3. We need 6. All those in favor of approving the GRF rules for board meetings with the following editing that we can review before the 28-day review is up.
Madam President?
Bonnie, I wanted to say something.
Okay.
Yeah. The 28 days is up.
No, it's not up because this is reintroduced.
Microphone is on. Bonnie, this is Beth. Can I say something?
I can't hear you.
Okay, this is Beth speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I had a couple of questions under committees. I wondered about presenting the material a week ahead. If the meeting was, 3 days before, could they then present it? That was number one under committees. And number two, my second point under committees is point number 3. Directors will not ask the committee representative any questions. And it seems to me that is the time to be able to clarify and ask questions, which then leads me to a question on the last one, number 6. Committee chair will present an oral summary, and there's a time limit of 2 minutes. And my concern is that the committee meetings are when things are talked out. That's when people interact, they work through it, they get through. It's kind of a murky situation, and you look at each side of the situation, and you come up with what the committee would present and ask GRF to approve of, what their suggestion would be, and that suggestion contains the ideas from people, obviously from the mutuals on that committee. And so sitting as a GRF member, if you're sitting there at the committee meeting, good, but perhaps you have missed that meeting. And so at the GRF meeting, to have more time to get clarity for what this issue is all about and be able to make an informed vote, it seems to me that 2 minutes is not enough time to get clarity and really ask a couple of good questions about a project that we may be voting on. That was what my concern was.
Egon? Oh, I can't hear you. Have you got your...
I have a question. Sorry, my hand was up there first.
You have no question? Okay, Joe?
Yes, I kind of agree with Beth on this. People live here and they pay their dues every month, and they may have issues. And we just went through the situation with the Irish Hotel, and perhaps if they had spoke in somewhat in advance or listened to people, that might not happen. It might not require attorneys and demonstrations and scared a lot of elderly people. I think it's important to get as much feedback as possible from the community. It's difficult as a GRF meetings because you may have 100 people show up sometime, but the committees, I agree with Beth, that's a lot where a lot of discussions take place to try to learn what people see and know. It doesn't mean that they're always right and we're always wrong, but sometimes there's a combination of both. So I think the more we listen, the more latitude we give people to communicate with us, the better off we are in terms of when we make decisions. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? My understanding that this was introduced, and so what we can do is we can approve it with the suggested changes, and I would suggest that we put those changes in writing, and that the committee that was originally worked on this, that we can again meet and revise it, and then bring it back with the 28-day review and vote on it. Is that acceptable?
That's great by me.
Okay. So we're going to approve it contingent upon the revisions that we spoke about, and then the 28-day review we can vote on. Do I have a vote on that? Is everyone in favor of doing that? Okay.
President Carpenter, would you like me to do
Yes?
a roll call vote?
Yes, you can do that. That would be great.
All right. President Sabulso,
Yes.
Director English,
Yes.
Director Tibbetts,
Yes.
Director Mattson,
Not here.
He's still there. It doesn't look like his mic is on. Oh, there he is.
Turn it on, Freddie.
Jim?
Vice President Trautman,
Yes. Okay.
Director Moldau,
Yes.
Director Perrick,
I vote yes.
Yes.
Director Garthoffner,
Yes.
Director Horton,
Yes.
Vice President Fitzgibbon,
Yes?
President Carpenter.
Yes. We have a majority, so it passes. So the next item that's on the agenda is the audit. So do I hear a motion to accept the audit report by KPMG?
Yeah, I move that we accept the audit by KPMG.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Have a second? Okay. So first, Betty is going to speak and introduce the audit report, and then Diane is also going to give us some information so that we can better understand and accept the report. So Betty? Can't hear you. Are we turning in, Betty?
Here we go. Good morning.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting us to this virtual meeting. It's a great format and it's going really well. We will have two representatives joining us from KPMG. They're trying to get on the call right now, and I'll introduce them as they come on. But I just wanted to recap and let you know that we started this process back in early February, and we met with all boards on the 19th to have a kickoff meeting where KPMG provided their required pre-audit communication. And then the audit committee, which is technically named the Select Audit Task Force, but industry term is audit committee, and they met several times throughout the audit. They met early on in March 2nd and had an update status meeting with KPMG. Then they met again closer towards the end of the audit on March 23rd when everything was quite busy. And then we did a presentation of the audit on March 31st using draft reports. And so all four members of the audit committee were able to receive and review those draft reports. And I just wanted to remind everybody who your audit committee members are. The chair of the committee is Pat English as the GRF treasurer, and your GRF representative was Diane Phelps, and she's on this call and we'll give her update. We also had a United representative, Elizabeth Roper, and a third representative, Peggy Moore. They were involved, they reviewed, they asked questions, and had direct communication with KPMG. throughout the audit. And so we received those final reports early this week, and GRF was the first one we got on Monday, and we got it out to you just as soon as it was signed and sealed. And we are just now ready for the reports to be accepted by each of the boards. And KPMG is giving us a condensed report that will be sent out in the mail to members. The full report we put on the website, so those of you who are familiar with financials and like to read all those footnotes, that will be available electronically on the website. But by the end of the month, we will have a condensed version of the audit report without footnotes in the mail for all members to receive per our civil code requirements. So that's the synopsis of the process that we went through. So I'll turn it over to Diane Phelps to report to you specifically about GRF's audit.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I don't have too much to say, except that we did meet with, as Betty has said, we met with the auditors during the course of this audit. There weren't any questions that were raised that were significant. I think maybe we should go on to their presentation. So maybe you might have some questions after they let you know what they're finding.
Okay. Let's do a quick introduction. I believe at the bottom of your screen is Mark Thomas. He is the audit partner from KPMG who is on this engagement. And next to him is Spencer Endicott, who was our senior manager and directed this audit. So I will turn it over to them, and hopefully the audience at home can see the slide presentation. It's just a very brief slide commentary that will follow along.
No, can't hear him.
Yeah, we're not able to hear it. It looks like they're on the phone, but.
Mark, I can see you, but we can't hear you. Did you dial in?
Unmute.
If you're unmuted, you might have to dial in. Spencer, are you able to, do you have audio?
No. No.
It appears that audio session is turned off on GoToMeeting.
What's that, Chuck?
Can you have the auditor call in his
Chuck, you're cutting in and out. We can't hear you.
If he would go to the GoToMeeting control panel, he would see next to his name a microphone on the left, and if he would click on that and do an unmute, he would be able to talk. Do you see the GoToMeeting control panel?
They're not, they don't have.
Sorry, Bert. His audio is disabled.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It looks like we're not going to be able to connect. So basically, is there any questions from the directors?
Bunny?
Yes.
I would just like to make a very brief statement, okay? And that is, the purpose of the audit report is to determine that the company or the corporation or whoever it is they're auditing states that the financial statements as presented to them are a representation. I don't know what happened next to sure. Did everybody hear me?
Yes, and I think I'm on now too.
Oh, good. Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Sorry for the technical difficulty there. So we did have this single page And let me just share with you quickly just kind of the overall summary of the audit and the completion of the audit. We did complete our audit, and we have issued our opinion on the financial statements. And the opinion on the financial statements is an unmodified opinion, a clean opinion, if you will, on the financial statements. So you have those financial statements, and those will be issued to you. There are no remaining outstanding items. We didn't have any uncorrected misstatements or corrected misstatements in the financial statements. If there were any significant issues during the audit, we would bring those to your attention. As you know, we've had multiple conversations with the audit committee throughout the audit, but there were no significant internal control matters. There were no significant difficulties in performing the audit. The good news was with the audit, much of the audit work had already begun before we all went into quarantine. And so much of the final wrap-up work was done via online, but it didn't hinder the performance of our audit as well. We didn't identify any illegal items of illegal acts or fraud, and we had no other significant findings to report to you. Now that I figured out how to use audio, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Are there any questions? It doesn't seem that we have any questions. And is there any other comments? If there are no questions or comments, let's put it to a vote. Basically, we are voting to accept the audit report. So are we going to do this by roll call or by hand?
We may do it by roll call if you wish.
Okay.
Director.
By roll.
Very well. Director Sabul Sol.
Yes.
Director English.
Yes.
Director Tibbetts.
He can't hear you. Can you hear him, Don? Raise your hand.
All right.
Okay, he said yes.
All right. Director Mattson.
Okay.
Vice President Troutman.
I abstain. Thank you.
Director Moldow.
Yes. Yes.
Director Perrick.
Beth?
Can't hear her. She's muted. There we go.
Yes, yes. I don't know how to unmute.
Director Horton.
Yes.
Vice President Vitscombe.
Yes.
President Carpenter.
Yes.
Voting concluded.
Funny, if I could make a quick comment.
Sure.
Saying, I just wanted to make sure that we thank, I want to thank Betty and her staff, as well as KPMG staff, Mark and Spencer, who are here, because they might say that they didn't have too much difficulty, but they certainly had difficulty, and that this wasn't an easy thing to complete, and that they did it on time is really remarkable. And I know that the audit team really appreciated the hard work of both staff and the audit team and KPMG.
I'll second that one.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Yes. And thank you, KPMG. And Betty, thank you all for being there and helping us out on this item.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, the next item of new business is the children's swim hours adjustment. So do I hear a motion to approve the off-season children's swim program hours from 12 to 2 to 2 to 4? So Egon, will you read the resolution? You can summarize it if you'd like.
Just give me a minute here to find it, okay?
Okay.
Just hang on. Oh, children's swimmer. Well, since nobody, or since very few are probably aware of it, of the people that may be listening, I think I better read it. Resolution 90-19-XX, off-season children's swim hours adjustment. Whereas on March 12, 2020, the Activities Committee, CAC, meeting staff recommended to authorize Recreation and Special Events Department to adjust the off-season children's swim program hours from noon to 2 p.m. to 2 to 4 p.m. at Pool 2 during the off-season swim hours, October 1 to Memorial Day weekend. Whereas Pool 2 is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily, 9 a.m. on Wednesdays for weekly maintenance. Children's swim program resides at Pool 2 during the off-season, October 1 to Memorial Day weekend, and is currently offered from noon to 2 p.m. daily. Whereas summer children's swim program relocates to Pool 6, daily hours of noon to 4 p.m. Memorial Day weekend to October 1. Whereas residents have requested that the children's swim hour be adjusted during the off-season to provide the opportunity for grandchildren to swim after school. Whereas the 7-day electronic survey conducted village swimmers, the Recreation and Special Events Department received 128 responses, of which 73 respondents confirmed using Pool 2 for lap swimming only. In addition, the survey indicated that preferred lap swim times are 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. One of the least utilized times is from 2 to 4 p.m. Now, therefore, be it resolved, April 7, 2020, directors of this corporation hereby introduces approval of the staff recommendation to authorize the Recreation and Special Events Department to adjust the off-season children's swim program hours from noon to 2 p.m., from noon to 2 p.m. to 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pool 2 during the off-season swim hours, stay from October 1 to Memorial Day weekend. All further, the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I recommend this resolution be adopted.
Is there any discussion? Shall we have a vote? All those in favor? Are we going to do it by hands or by hand?
Apparently, if we do it by hand, we can speed things up.
Okay, by hand.
Who seconded the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
All right. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8, so it passes. And Judith, can you take over for about a minute for me right now for the next item?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so the motion to off-season children's swim hours adjustment has passed. Okay. Next
28 days.
Sorry?
You have to wait 28 days?
It
Fine.
says,
So there's nothing in there about the 28th.
because it's, we do this every year, and so it's routine. So I don't believe so, because it would say on the bottom of the resolution, if we were gonna wait the 28 days. It was not included in there.
Well, it is included in the agenda.
Let's postpone 28 days. Holiday hours, that's holiday hours, see. That's the next one. Okay, let's postpone 28 days. Okay, number C. Entertain a motion to introduce the resolution for for Clubhouse holiday hours. This is the initial notification, and then we will postpone that one also for 28 days member review. Egon, Mr. Secretary, would you read the resolution, please?
Okay. Resolution 90-19 XX. Clubhouse holiday hours. Whereas on March 12, 2020, Activities Committee, PAC, meeting staff recommended to authorize the special events department to adjust Clubhouse holiday operating hours on certain holidays beginning January. Whereas on New Year's Day, bookings are non-existent for few reservations taking place on President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, and the Friday after Thanksgiving. Saddleback and Meredith classes are not in session on VMS holidays. Facilities are vacant and underutilized. Ample notice of limited hours, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. At holidays, residents will still have the ability to fulfill any needs they may have at the facility. Whereas clubhouses will remain open on Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. to accommodate the needs of resident events. Whereas the post-clubhouse holiday hours will be as follows. Closed all clubhouses, New Year's Day. Limited hours, President's Day, Memorial Day, Labor. Veterans Day, and Friday after Thanksgiving. Limited hours, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. No modification. Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Day. Whereas full-time and part-time hourly staff who scheduled to work on 10 designated VMS holidays receive holiday pay equal to 1.5 times base pay, whereas the cost of staff, whereas the cost to staff, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on a designated holiday with part of the recreation leader is approximately $1,772. Post-closure of New Year's Day and limited hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., 6 holidays would have a cost savings of $13,064 annually. Now, therefore, be resolved, April 7, 2020, Board of Directors, Corporation hereby introduces approval of staff recommendations. Authorize the Recreation Department to clubhouse holiday operating on certain holidays beginning January 2020. Resolve further, the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation carry out this resolution. April initial notification. The board endorse the proposed revision. Staff recommends that the motion be seconded to accept the resolution and allow discussion to ensure that the resolution reads to the satisfaction of the board. Staff then recommends solutions. Next available board meeting no less than 28 days from the postponement to comply with Civil Code 43. I move this resolution to be adopted.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Pat. And we're having trouble with audio, and I don't know if it's on Egon's end or our end, but the resolution was on the screen for residents to read. Okay, I hand it back over to Bunny.
Okay. So we had a second, and we need, is there any discussion? Joe?
Yes, I have one question concerning the clubhouses. They had been open later before, and we're all of a sudden closed all of them at 2 o'clock. My concern was, well, if we had some residents that still wanted to use facilities, Clubhouse 1 has most of the facilities that we would use. So if the other clubhouses close early, I don't see there's any significance to that at all. I think that's fine. But I'm wondering if we have any numbers that show that on these holidays, the Clubhouse 1 also died between 2 and 4 o'clock, or if there's a possibility we should extend Clubhouse 1 for a couple hours the first year, then revisit it if it's not busy, or if it's busy, just make it permanent. Because that was the question. Brian asked numbers on, so certainly respond to that.
Is there any other comments? Are you making a motion then, Joe?
Well, I think it's possible. Can Brian also make comments, or that's something I just have to make the motion? I'd make a motion. We keep Clubhouse 1 open until 4 o'clock and leave the other ones as Brian had suggested.
Brian?
Yes. Good morning, Madam President, Board of Directors. So, yeah, we do have some numbers. The utilization on those days was very minimal, where we can really, actually, they were primarily in the morning. That's why we came up with those time frames. But leaving Clubhouse 1 open is certainly a viable option, and I think that's something the board should definitely consider, at least for the first year.
Okay. So, Joe, you'd like to make a motion?
Yes. Make a motion that we audit or change this to the limit hours for Clubhouse 1 on, which says 9 to 2 would be from 9 to 4 p.m. for this first year.
And basically that was for Clubhouse 1?
Clubhouse 1 only.
Okay.
All the
So,
rest of the clubhouses are closed as written down.
so Grant, will you read the motion so that we make sure that it's clear?
If I may
Hello,
have
Grant.
Joe repeat the date that he wants it open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I'm sorry. The limited hours currently show all the clubhouses on President's Days through Thanksgiving at 9 to 2. So the only Clubhouse 1 and those same holidays, President's Day, Memorial, Independence, Labor Day, Veterans Day, and the Friday after Thanksgiving.
The motion I have is to keep Clubhouse 1 open during holidays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yes, that's correct.
Bunny, this is an amendment. I will second the amendment.
Okay. Is there any more discussion?
I'd like to speak. Right?
Annette?
Okay, basically, the clubhouse holiday hours, this resolution could pass in the amendment, but it would be the same resolution, only where it says limit hours 9 to 2. In addition, there would be one more line going across that says limit hours of Clubhouse 1, 9 to 4, for the first year only. This way, after the first year, if there's not a lot of traction, we don't even have to come back and visit this.
Correct. Yes, that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Has any consideration been given to also the community center? Since what we're really referring to in many cases are just the fitness centers.
Well, this motion only has to do with the clubhouses. So that would be another topic, yes, to bring back.
Okay, this doesn't actually talk about the community centers at all. It just talks about the clubhouses. Pardon?
I'm just saying, probably the only reason I could really conceive of, or one of the main reasons, is the fitness centers. And the fitness centers are true in Clubhouse 1, but we also have them in Clubhouse 5, and we have them in the community center.
Well, my question is, the Clubhouse 5 is always open, right? But you can get in by your badge, so that's open normal hours. So is that correct, Brian?
Yes, that is correct. I also want to just mention that the community center already has modified hours for the MAC room, the table tennis room, and the fitness centers, depending on the holiday. So that's already in place, where we are modifying those hours for that facility.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so Joe?
Yes, and the reason for Clubhouse 1 is the number of sports and things that are there. So if somebody wants to play billiards or pickleball or swim or whatever, that single clubhouse has more amenities than all the other ones. The one that really lacks would be the table tennis. Other than that, it has most of the facilities all the other clubhouses have. We might even discover that some of these other clubhouses may not need to be open till 2 even. We'll have to see if Clubhouse 1 is open. But then Brian can stay up this year again.
Okay. Any other comments? Are we ready to vote on the amended motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All those in favor?
I'm in favor of the amendment, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the amended motion passes. So now we have to vote on the main motion. So all those in favor of the main motion. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it passes. Thank you.
That's right.
The next item is the GRF equestrian pricing. And do I hear a motion to approve the adjustment to the boarding fees from 65% to 70% to be effective June 1? And Egon, will you read the motion? Read the resolution.
Okay. Resolution 90-20-XX, Equestrian Center Pricing Policy. Whereas according to the resolution, Resolution 90-12-132, which established guidelines to share costs and fees, certain fees can be imposed upon users at various recreational facilities in order to control crowding, minimize overusage, and to recover operating costs. And whereas the board periodically reviews fees as part of the business planning process, determine adequacy of revenues, shared costs, and their adoption of the 2020 business plan, use certain fee changes. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors Corporation hereby adopts a revised GRF pricing policy relative to the equestrian. There's only one change. I'm going to read the change. That is, the fee rounded up to the nearest dollar shall be based on the estimated monthly cost of the board of resident-owned leased sports, and 70%, 65% being struck up, shared costs subsidized by the community at large. The fee will be adjusted annually on the basis of changes to the operating costs and percentage shared by the community at large. The GRF Board of Directors estimated monthly cost of the horses and determine what share percentage to apply in order to maintain an equitable and reasonable division between the user and the monthly assessment per Resolution 90-12-132 guidelines for shared costs and fees. Cost of feed be absorbed by the resident based on their selection menu. And we have no changes in the horse and transportation, trailer storage and horse transportation changes in that it shall be shared at 50% cost. The no changes in trail riding fees, which are resident shared 64% subsidized and 25% markup. There are no changes in lesson fees and shared subsidized. There are no changes in horse 65% shared and 20%. All further that the resolution shall be effective June 1, 2020. At resolution 90-20 up to March 3, 2020, hereby superseded and canceled. And all further that the officers and agents of the corporation, after the corporation, carry out this resolution. Recommend this resolution be adopted.
Is there any discussion?
Yes. I just question these percentages of subsidies. It should certainly be comparable to golf, and I'm not familiar with the golf subsidies. Are they equivalent, or is this more generous? Can anybody answer that question?
Betty?
Betty? Or Brian, Betty or Brian, can you talk about the subsidies? Bert asked a question about the subsidies and comparing it to the golf subsidy. Are these greater or comparable?
All right, let me pull out that report in the Green Book here that shows the percentages. The golf courses, the community is bearing 57% of the cost of the golf courses. And this resolution for equestrian is going, proposing that for the boarding fee, it's 70%. Now, overall, the community pays very little of the total cost for equestrian because it's primarily funded through lesson fees and feed and so forth. So just for the boarding, we're talking about going to 70%. And this was discussed in the committee that the proposed amount of $319 was a $70 increase, or I mean, it was a $100 increase over the current year, and it was just too burdensome for the boarders, and we don't want the facility to suffer and have to close. And so what we did as a compromise is, although we're shifting the subsidy to 70% instead of 65% for the community, we agreed, Brian went through and agreed to reduce the operating cost by $25,000. And so by pulling $25,000 out of his budgeted operating costs and making some changes to affect that, then the actual fee that's being picked up by the community, although the subsidy amount changes, the fee is going to go down a little. It's going to go down by $8 from what was originally proposed. And I just want to correct one thing on the resolution while I have the floor, is that the calculation shows the fee for the user on the boarding going from $319 to $249. So the resolution itself doesn't call out the fee. It's just mentioned in the staff report. We're only changing the percent fund share subsidy in the resolution. But for your reference, I wanted to let you know that results in a boarding fee of $249 per month, and we kept the community costs about the same, or actually $8 a month less.
So,
can I ask about the golf lesson fees and the horse rental fees?
I think on Betty's comments.
Well, I'm just saying in golf, we rent carts, we have people that rent clubs. Are those the same fees? Or is it more generous? I mean, I don't
I
see.
don't have all the golf fees in front of, I don't have the golf fees in front of me to make a comparison like that. I was looking in total for the facility. That none of the fees are exact between the different facilities. Every facility is looked at for its utilization, the frequency of use, the exclusivity, the revenue and the cost, and so forth. And so there's just not a direct comparison between the percentages.
Okay, Annette?
Okay, Betty, I'm going to page 63 of the Green Book, and it says percentage shared for golf courses. So the percentage that, we're sharing in the community, which amounts to $9.50 a month, is 43%. And the burden that the golfers are paying is 57%. Is that correct? Have I read that correct?
You're right. I said it backwards. You're correct.
That's what I thought. So I wanted to make sure that because that's a big difference of that percentage of, so the percentage shared, Bert, to answer your question, wasn't 57%. It's actually 43% that's shared in the community. And the golfers, have the burden of the 57%. Okay, as a sport. So I just wanted to clarify that. And that does roll into it, I believe, all the numbers that you were asking for after that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judith?
Yeah, I would like to second Egon's motion. I know we're already in the discussion, but for the record, thank you.
All right, thank you.
President Carpenter?
Is there any more discussion?
President Carpenter, we have a public comment for 13D.
Okay.
I have now been told that it was now moved to 15B, so disregard.
Okay, thank you. And Joe, you wanted to speak?
Yes, you always want to be fair. I'm not a big fan of comparing one thing we do, whether it's pickleball or gin or what are the different types of bridge or other types of things we have. I think in the case of the equestrian center, we had some hiccups there, and they're trying to maintain people there and revitalize it to some degree. So hopefully it's percentages, time goes on in the next couple of years, that may fall in lower from that case. I'm not a big fan of comparing an activity with the other. It's hard to compare an activity that takes 1,000 square foot, which we have one of those, and one that takes 200 acres. It's just a difficult thing to do. We know actual costs of payroll and maintenance. We don't know the cost of the actual asset. So I think it's best to look at each thing individually. If some sport or activity needs support, we should try to do that. If we can't justify it, then something can have to change. But from the standpoint of changing one to the other, I don't necessarily know. I'd compare those two sports as being similar. Polo might be closer because you're using a club. But anyway, from my standpoint, I think this was an effort to make the equestrian center more successful as it had been in the past. Thank you.
Just how do we compare to other facilities within the county, price-wise?
I can answer that. Yeah. For the amenities that we have, we're priced right with these changes. Okay. Other places, they have a lot more to offer, and so they charge more money. The feeding costs are the same and comparable to any equestrian center here in Orange County. But the boarding, because we just don't have big trails, multiple rings, professional trainers there, we cannot ask a premium price for our equestrian center. All we have is, we do have a rental string, and all we can do on those horses is walk and trot. We can't do anything else. If we could bring in outside trainers to train some of our people, maybe we could ask more money, but not the way it's set up. I hope that answers your question.
It did. Thank you.
Annette?
While I spoke to the correction, I am in favor of this motion because everybody I feel on this board has done a great job in going out and doing the research and coming back with comparables and trying to secure for all of our residents who have horses the fact that they can board them here versus going elsewhere.
And Pat, okay?
Yes, I would just like to know how many vacancies do we have in the stalls right now, Yvonne?
I believe 11. You know, and we lost 3 when they upped it $100 and they just skedaddled. So
that's not very good.
Anyway, hopefully we can get some of those people back.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bunny, can you hear me?
Yes. I didn't see you, so it's Beth?
Yeah, it's Beth. So
okay.
From this discussion, and I think that what we're seeing is we look at our recreation facilities and we say, we look at them according to need, not let's have an exact balance. It's what is the need at this time that we need to fulfill for this part of our community. And I am in favor of this motion because of that, because we can obviously see that there's a need.
Thank you. Any other comments? I only want to confirm Betty's statement. I thought she said that it's going to now be $249 per month, but on the report it says $279. So I just wanted to make sure we had the right number. I can't wait.
I think it's a typo on the report, but we'll check that. I think it's supposed to be, my spreadsheet shows $249. So we'll double check before we publish and charge that starting June.
Right, so it's $249. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Okay, do we have a vote? All those in favor? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, it passed. Thank you. All right, so let me get my notes here. The next item is the special accommodation policy for reciprocal and charitable club events. And I would like to hear a motion to send this back to CAC. And the reason I would like to do that is because when it came before CAC, what CAC voted on was only for the golf tournament, and it was basically to be able to help the golfers at this point in time, for this year especially, so that they could have their tournaments and charge, the member fee for that tournament. And so that's what was approved by CAC. And what we have here is in addition to including other clubs. And I just feel at this point in time that we need to send it back to CAC and rework this. So
I'd like to suggest that we also consider the possibility of at least a small registration fee, maybe $5.
That's a good idea, Bert and Annette.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion requesting that the special accommodation policy for reciprocal and charitable club events be sent back to CAC for their Thursday, April 9th agenda for discussion. Hopefully they'll be able to secure a recommendation which can be brought back to the GRF's May board meeting.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Okay, is there any discussion? No? No, wait a minute, I can't hear you.
You might.
That for CAC was unanimous, but the wording of it did include other clubs. It had a long presentation for golf, which we were trying to reinstitute some things that had always been going on. And in the process of the policy we're looking at in the future, some wording got in there that included other clubs. So I agree with the fact we should make this exclusively for golf and then take and readdress it later as far as any other clubs and stuff go. So I'm in favor.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, where are we?
All in favor of the motion. And then opposed, it goes back to CAC.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Oh, wait, I have one additional thing.
Okay.
It showed on page 5 and 6 in the agenda. I was just curious, why was that included? What accommodation is being requested?
I'll go back.
Well, from what I understand, from the staff report, Recreation wanted to include other clubs and basically wanted to have the authorization to reduce fees for other clubs when they are doing special events. So, because if you look at, the staff report, it includes the Laguna Woods Village Aqueduct. Okay. So that's one of the reasons why we want to take it back to CAC so that we can review all this. And
if they go back, I'd like to have in that report then what the accommodation is that is being requested.
I totally agree with you. We need to have the numbers and be exact.
Yeah, I agree with Bert. One of the things here, the way it got worded, it would seem like Recreation could have made accommodations. Those accommodations would have to have limitations based on GRF. This was originally the thought process of this. Mostly this applies to golf. But the other clubs, we had talked about maybe having people do fundraising for us, for example. So it might be something we might make an accommodation if they're actually raising funds for the Laguna Woods Foundation or for GRF itself. So it's a futuristic type of thing. It should have been dealt with a little bit later down the line, not right now. But for right now, we're just trying to maintain what we've always done for golf and keep it the same. And somewhere down the line, if some clubs want to do something to raise money, not for themselves, but for a charity or for us, we can revisit that and give some parameters to Recreation based on what the board members feel. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Are we ready to vote? Okay. All those in favor? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you ready to vote, Yvonne? Oh, 7. Okay.
I will. Jim Matson says 8.
8. So we have 9. All right. The motion passes. It will go back to CAC. Okay.
President Carpenter,
Is,
if I may, we have 9 in approval. For the other 2, I didn't quite catch their votes.
for the other 2, could you state that again, please?
I have 9 in approval for sending it back to committee. I was unable to catch the latter 2 votes, however, on who I was not voting in the approval of the sending it back to committee.
Okay. Actually, I couldn't see Beth because she's on video, so I don't know whether she voted for it or not.
I had my hand up.
Okay, so it would be Tim then.
Yeah, but what he's saying that he wants to go back on the other 2. Did anybody vote negative on the other 2?
Good question. No.
Oh, you mean the other 2 items that were on the agenda?
Yeah, I think there were some camera angles where I kind of saw some fingers, but you may not have seen hands. So if some people may have voted yes, you might not have saw it.
Did anyone vote no?
That's what I'm asking. If nobody voted no, then make it 10-0.
Okay, so let's go back. So he wants to know about the last item that was on the agenda and the other prior items that were on the agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, so President Carper, sorry to not clarify. I was simply asking if there was any no votes on the sending back to committee. But it looks like we have the situation resolved.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the Peace Pole project. And do I hear a motion to approve the reconstructing of the Peace Pole?
I so move.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Oh, let's wait. I think we have let me see if we have okay, if you want to have a resolution on this, that's fine. Let's go ahead, let's have discussion. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, Pat?
This is very much of a partisan type of vote. And so I will be voting no.
Any other discussion?
Who's paying for this?
Yeah.
I see $50, but
They are paying the total cost.
yeah, and who's going to maintain it?
I don't know how much is to be maintained.
If I can interject here, we'd have to maintain the actual structure itself. However, the Peace Pole would be covered expense-wise by the Concerned Citizen Club.
Bunny, yeah, that comment is in the final analysis on the last sentence that the club would be billed for maintenance after that. And my question was there would be 4 languages. What are the 4 languages?
Yeah.
That's what I would like to know. And
Korean, Chinese, English, and what's the 4th?
Hindi. Let's see.
Hindi?
No.
Okay, here.
I mean, I can see all those on the poll, but I can't figure out what the language.
Well, one is Farsi.
Farsi.
Oh, gosh.
So we have Chinese, Farsi.
Chinese, Korean, Farsi, English.
It's 8 languages, what I see.
Okay.
The one that's shown here is Hebrew.
Yeah, that's on there.
Oh, wait a minute, here it is.
Yeah, and the
Chinese,
discussion.
Mandarin, English, Farsi, Hebrew, Hindi, Korean, Spanish, Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers the demographics of our community pretty much, correct?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Bulgarian.
I'll be in favor of this motion.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, so we have 1, Yvonne? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pat said no. Beth?
My hand is up. You can't see me?
No. So that,
Oh, Beth, what happened where your name's on the screen, it covers your hand. Your hand's up, your name kind of hides it.
okay. So we have 7, and then is GRF, and I don't.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 8. That's 8.
9, yes.
Mm-hmm. We have 9. Okay, we have 9 in favor. Have you got that, Grant? We have 9 in favor, so the motion passes.
Oh, wait a minute. We have to record who the 2 were that opposed it.
Okay, Pat opposed, and who was the other person that opposed? We had 9, you were 10, and I'm 11. I don't usually vote.
Where's Jim Mattson? Did he vote?
Yes, he did.
He voted in favor.
Okay, so there must have been 10 then.
Okay, so I'm the lone one, and I'll be happy to be lone on that one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the motion passes. And the next item is the Golden Rain Foundation donation policy. So do I hear a motion to approve the donation policy? And I just want you to know that Annette and I worked on this with Siobhan, and so we basically read it and would recommend that it be passed. So do I hear a motion to pass the donation policy?
I'll make a
to approve. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, I make a motion that to introduce to the resolution for the GRF donation policy that we pass it.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, is there any
Can I
discussion?
again ask one question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, one question is, what do we do for a policy over 100,000? Is there a policy currently in existence?
May I speak to that, Bunny?
Yeah.
Okay, Bunny and I, we're starting this donation policy, so we get up to 100,000 in U.S. dollars, real property such as plants and, personal property, whatever. But we're going to work on an additional policy. There'll be a policy for larger donations that will be forthcoming, but that's in the works. We haven't got that one complete yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Pat?
Yes, I would like to know on these donations, if they're trees and things like that, who's going to pay for the maintenance costs on all of these things?
Okay, do you want to answer that, Annette?
Sure. Within the donation policy, it says that if we accept something, usually who's ever donating it bears the brunt of the expense for about 5 years, and then like if it's a tree or something, they'll only, the COO, which would be Siobhan, or the director in charge of wherever the donations, targeted to, would be in charge of, coming up with the cost to maintain it and everything else, and the person that's giving the gift would basically be assessed that at the donation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, it looks like I did not have Egon read the donation policy, so I'll have him read the donation policy.
Good, I was wondering about that. Resolution 90-XX donation policy. Whereas the GRF Board of Directors has recognized the need to adopt a donation policy to set forth guidelines and an efficient and effective process for accepting gifts and minor monetary donations in a responsible, transparent, and accountable manner that is consistent with the Golden Rain Foundation goals. Now, therefore, be it resolved on this date, April 7, 2020, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the donation policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further, officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of this corporation to carry out resolution. April initial notification. Should the board endorse the proposed revision, staff recommends that the motion be made and seconded to accept the resolution and allow discussion to ensure the resolution reads to the satisfaction of the board. Staff recommends that a board member postpones the resolution to the next available board meeting, no less than 28 days from the postponement, to comply with Civil Code Section 40. Move this resolution to be adopted.
Point of order. Egon, you don't have to move it. It was already motioned by Annette and seconded by Yvonne.
Okay.
So you don't have to motion it.
Okay, we're into discussion again. Annette, let me turn this on. Your microphone's not on.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you. The only thing was, and this is more of a Scribner, where it says, and minor monetary donations, I put a parenthesis and say up to $100,000 US dollars, or $100,000, and then in another paren I do US dollars, end paren, to make sure that we only accepted United States dollars and it was only up to 100,000. So we then have the other policy, when it comes into play, it's already got that separation. I do think it's a Scribner, though.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, shall we, all those in favor? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beth?
Madsen says okay.
Honey, I wanted to say something. I'm sorry. I wanted to say something beforehand. That I'm looking in here and wondering if the committee thought about the policy that we as the GRF board have with the Village Community Fund, and if there's an overlap, if it works well together, and what the symmetry would be. And I'm not sure, and I'm thinking maybe we might want to, in this 28 days, to sit down with a couple of people from Village Community Fund and the people on this committee and say, how does this work together? Because Village Community Fund already has an agreement, and we're talking about donations that people give to us as a GRF board. So it should flow nicely, but I just am hoping that there is a good symmetry and it would flow nicely. And I'd like to see if we could possibly take a clear look into it for clarity.
Okay, Annette? But your mic's not on here.
I apologize.
Okay.
I do believe that when you go through the donation policy in terms of the purpose and stuff, it is, I can't find it exactly, but the foundation and the Village Community Fund are mentioned within. So I think it's covered, but as we've already pretty much passed it, we'll definitely look at that again, okay, as we look into the other one too. But we did go through with our eyes open concerning that, Beth.
Right.
Okay, and maybe you might be able to get some more information from some of the other parties that are involved in it.
Okay.
The only comment that I would have on it is there are two different donation policies. The one that Diane is associated with, is a different type of donations, where as the donations with the GRF one could be, benches, things like that would be just for GRF. So we do need two different policies. Yeah.
Such as the disaster.
I'm saying that, Bunny, but I'm saying, could we look at this document and say, how does this flow together? What is the symmetry? And they are two different things attending to two different good projects. So if we could just get a clear look.
Do you have any comments, Annette?
I think we already voted. I think we voted 7 already.
Okay. All right. So, what was the vote on that now, Grant? Do you have record of that?
I have record of
Hello,
everyone voting in favor. I do not have record of Director Perrick's vote, however.
And
I didn't vote because I wanted to ask if we would be able to talk during this 28-day period to get a little bit more clarity with the other group. But so I would vote yes, but I'd like to have a discussion during this 28 days.
Okay. So the motion passes, and basically the committee is Annette and me. So, we would have
so maybe to talk with
the discussion with the people in the other.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So it just says here we can take a break, but I don't think we want to do that at this point in time. All right. So now we have the committee report, and basically, what we can do is the committees that have something to say can report, or does everybody have something to say about their committee? If we can start with finance, we have, of course, we have to go through finance first. So Pat, are you ready? Okay, you need to turn on your mic somewhere. Pat?
All right, here I am. Now, do we have the slides or not?
I have no idea.
Yes, there we have. The slides just came up. Okay, so slide number 1. Through the reporting period of February 29th, 2020, total revenue for GRF was $7.7 million compared to expenses of just under $6.8 million, which resulted in a net revenue of $976,000. Slide number 2, please. In finance, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our financial results. The operating fund, without depreciation and unrealized gain on available for sale investments, shows a gain of $191,000 through the reporting period. Slide 3, please. The next chart shows the same actuals from the income statement, but compared to budget. GRF ended the period better than budget by $359,000, of which $274,000 was due to timing and $85,000 was due to net savings. Slide 4, please. This slide shows our most significant variances by category, with green bars representing favorable variances and orange bars representing unfavorable items. I'm not going to read all these different ones, but I will tell you that the favorable ones were unrealized gain available for sale, cable programming, materials and supplies, and outside services. These 4 items total $700,000. They were the favorable ones. The unfavorable ones, our trust facilities fee was $131,000 unfavorable because we had fewer manas sold. Then there was employee compensation related expenses, $116,000 unfavorable. Repairs and maintenance were $47,000 unfavorable, and insurance was $37,000 unfavorable. Okay, so now we're going to go to slide 5. Slide 5, here we go. Okay, slide 5, additional sources of revenues other than the assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we've received just over $2.5 million, as shown on this pie chart. By category, we can see that our largest revenue is broadband services. You see that in orange. Then unrealized gain on golf operations, and the trust, followed by the trust facilities fee. These revenues offset costs and help keep assessments down. Slide 6, please. Expenses to date of $6.8 million, which includes depreciation, are shown on this pie chart, with our largest categories being compensation, depreciation, cable programming, utilities, etc. As you see, 60% of this category is for employee compensation and related expenses. Okay, now, slide number 7. Okay, we have a slide here to show resale history from 2018 to 2020. Community sales total 99 through February the 20th. Most of these transactions generate the $5,000 trust facilities fee, used as a source of revenue for our reserves. Slide number 8. The reserve and contingency funds adjusted balances are shown here. Starting with the first column on the left, the funds have a combined ending balance of $31 million. Included in this total are contributions received this year to assessment, trust facilities fees, and interest earnings. The second column shows the work in progress of 9.8 mil, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet complete. The third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balance of 21.2 million. Slide 9, please. We compare our adjusted fund balances to historical balances for the past 5 years on this next chart, showing that GRF has averaged about 21 million in reserve and contingency funds. Slide 10, please. The listing on this slide gives you an idea where the reserve money is committed. Of the 22.4 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve and contingency funds is 11.9 million, primarily for renovation projects. That's it for the slides, and I just wanted to let you know that our next finance meeting is April the 22nd. So hopefully we'll be able to have a real meeting by then. Okay, thank you very much. That's it.
Okay. The purchasing task force canceled the meeting for April, and the next meeting I have not scheduled. So
President Carpenter, we have a member comment regarding the Finance Committee report, please.
Okay.
From Andre Torn, Manor 389Q. His question is about finance. Does anyone has any information on the shutdown service impact to our finance?
Not that I know of, but I'm sure they're working on that very issue.
Is Jeff speaking on that? Because I do know that we had discussed that he is going to put together basically what the cost savings and the losses. I just don't know when we'll receive that report.
I don't know, is Betty?
Oh, Betty? Yeah, she's
here. I don't know if she's here or not.
Judith?
Yeah, I just want to say, I believe it's too early to tell because even my M&C staff has been affected, and we don't have those numbers.
Yeah, you're right.
My M&C staff has been affected, and we don't have the
Right. Someone's got their TV on and it's having terrible battery.
Okay, it was
Bunny, we have provided Jeff some information on cost savings, and then this week we're going to look at impacts on revenue.
Okay. Does that answer Andre's question?
It's in progress is the answer.
I thought maybe it was.
Yeah. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next report would be from the Community Activities Committee. Joe.
Okay, thank you, President Carpenter. April 9th is our next meeting. It'll be at 1:30 in the afternoon. Many of the events that went on at the last CAC meeting were discussed today. There were 4 of them that were covered in the votes that we took. For those interested, the next CAC meeting will cover the swim, stanchions, and flags and reports on those, as well as a mandatory security presence at specialty resident events. I'd like to reach out to Brian Gruner and to our club presidents and people involved in all the activities here, since everything is shut down at this point. The next CAC meeting after this one in April will be in May. It'd be really great if the clubs themselves can try to come up with what we're going to do for safety as long as this virus is going on. In other words, we may not know when we will actually be able to reopen some things. They may not all be at the same time, obviously, because of the nature of the particular events. But we need to have as many secure things we can do from what BUS can give us and what the clubs can give us to keep our members safe as they're there. My fear is that the virus, as it declines, it may not totally go away. So we may still have to take some precautions when we feel it's still safe enough to reopen some things. We need to be cautious in case there's still some danger from this, and probably put that for an item for the May meeting. Other than that, we're just hoping to get open again and everybody stay safe out there. Thank you very much.
President Carpenter,
Thank you.
we have a public comment
Yeah.
on this item as well.
We have a comment from Andre Chong at 389Q. He was requesting that we consider outsourcing the equestrian center in lieu of having it here.
Actually, it's not. We're going to have an ad hoc committee in regards to the equestrian center, and all those things will be discussed there. And then whatever the discussion is, we'll bring it to CAC, and then we'll bring it to the board. But because of the coronavirus, we just haven't been able to meet yet. Okay. All right.
There's just one thing here. Since we'd heard the other day that we had some zoo animals pick up this virus, is there any danger or precautions being taken at the equestrian center at this point in time? All we've heard of so now is big cats in the zoos. But is there any danger to the horses? Do we know that, or is there any precautions we need to take?
No. That's the simple answer.
Okay, that kept it short. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm glad the horses are safe.
Yes. It's a little scary now that the animals have it,
That it's
We just have to worry about
the
the
owners
virus.
we have to worry about.
Yeah, definitely.
The owners down there are not maintaining safe distances, so there is that problem.
Yeah.
Okay. We go on. How about landscaping? Do you have anything to say?
When we met, it was interesting because a lot of the comments that came from the members really were more concerned with the mutuals than they were with GRF. Of course, GRF does not have that much. The other thing that was done was that Kurt Wyman handed out to the members of the committee suggestions with regard to what they propose for the gates. Since the gate have been put in, we need to re-landscape. And he's made recommendations and has asked members of the committee to make comments with regard to what he's proposing and to get it back to him. So the next meeting is May 13th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. That's my report.
Okay. MNC, Jim, do you have anything to report? Is he there?
Actually, at the boardroom, and at 9:30, and we're going to be. It's going to be a short meeting because we're only looking at the closed session, and so I've been real quiet. So we're not meeting on the main part of our MSC. Which is, but I will say that we do have 19 items on our project log, and which is a lot of activity coming up once we get all the folks back here working. So that's all I have. Like I said, the meeting will be tomorrow at 30 in the boardroom.
Siobhan, can you speak to that? Because I thought all our, oops, I can't get this going. I thought all our meetings were supposed to be virtual this month.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Well, then it will still be 9:30 tomorrow for the virtual.
Okay. And will you need help with that, Jim? Probably we can have Grant send out an email to everybody for the call-in for the virtual or for the MNC meeting.
Well, whoever takes care of it, it's my understanding that it's going to be 9:30 tomorrow.
Okay, that's great.
President Carpenter? The individual departments take care of that noticing.
I didn't hear what you said.
The individual departments will take care of the noticing. It will not be the corporate secretary.
Okay, so we're saying that, okay, Ernesto?
Yeah, Madam President, if I may.
We can't hear you, it's mumbled.
Yes, the MNC department will take care of the notification.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Egon?
I just want to point out the notification has already been sent out by both Ernesto and his assistant. And mainly, we're only going to cover the one big topic that he wanted covered, and that is water facility. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Ernesto, could you have Lori send that notification to me? I'm not on the committee, but I would like to be present at the meeting. Did he hear me? I can't hear a word he's saying.
You got it.
He's nodding yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, but basically what that contract that they're going to be discussing is the installation of the truck wash station. Okay, so the next report would be from Media and Communications. And that would be Annette.
All right.
Funny, you forgot PAC. You forgot PAC. PAC.
Oh, he already?
No, we missed me.
D1.
Oh, I'm sorry because it wasn't on here. I apologize.
Yeah,
okay. Yes, and then we'll go to the.
Okay. There was no meeting since December, and as reported last month, the PAC has to go out to bid for a second time. Originally, Ernesto was given a list of 20 potential bidders. He chose 6 of the best from that list. However, only one bidder responded, and it is not our policy to go forward with less than 3 bids when possible. So last month, we went out to bid a second time, and those bids came in, I think, around March 27th. So Ernesto and I have set up a virtual closed PAC meeting for April 13th. All ad hoc members were sent the link by Lori to attend that closed meeting to discuss the bids. The agenda has been sent out. Either way, we should be able to look at the bids, listen to staff's recommendations, and then the committee will have a chance to have their say, decipher the data, make a recommendation to the board at the May GRF meeting, or an option to send it back to MNC. But we have no way of knowing what's going to happen until after that meeting on the 13th. And Ernesto left us, so I didn't know if he wanted to add anything, but that's what's going on with the PAC. I have no other information until after April 13th to go over the next set of bids that we have. That's my report.
I'm sorry I missed you.
No problem. I got it in there.
All right. Annette, you're next.
Okay. The committee met on February the 19th, and basically I gave that report at the March board meeting. Our March meeting, because we meet monthly, was canceled. So our next meeting is a virtual meeting, and it's scheduled for Monday, April the 20th at 1:30 p.m. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Beth, would you like to report on the Thrive? Okay, I can't hear you, and the mic isn't turning. There we go. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So one thing that's happening is inspirational messages are being sent on TV. Paul put them up there from Thrive, and I'm thinking that all of us have experienced kindness in the community. Laguna Woods Village, a community of kindness during this really difficult time. I know all of us are probably gathering those stories in our mind to be able to share at a later date. Thank you. That's it. I do have one more thing that I wanted to just put in a plug, if I could, for the Foundation for Social Services. There's the notice on TV of social services with their phone number. And if you have a financial need at this time, which may be a time that a number of people do, please see social services. Or if you have another need, call them and they're available. And the foundation is backing them up with additional financial help. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a report for mobility and vehicles?
I do.
Okay.
Obviously, transportation is a huge factor in social distancing. So I've been working closely and continuously with Chris Langenauer. I apologize if I didn't say your name right. So he sent me a few bullet points. Upon implementation of the new bus system, which was rolled out on January 20th, the total ridership was up by 50 plus residents in February. Then the Boost program was successful with an estimated 1,500 riders just since the program started in January 20th. Then, due to the coronavirus and associated state and county directives on social distancing, the following changes were made. Number one, temporarily, they eliminated the Saturday fixed route. Then they consolidated the two commercial routes into one route. Then they reduced the level of Boost-Lyft rideshare programs to operate between 7 and 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. Now they temporarily eliminated the designated shopping, also known as the excursions. And some drivers, because someone earlier was asking about how we're going to be affected financially. Obviously, less buses, less routes. Some drivers were affected and had to be laid off. And but they also qualify for state, federal mandated funding and unemployment packages. So this does affect our compensation expenses. So we also have a decrease in gas and maintenance to the buses since we're not hardly using them. So there is a give and a take on this financially. I know the bus drivers are doing the best they can. I've kept in touch with many of them, and we have had very little complaints from the riders, which is very refreshing because for the most part, they understand what we're going through and understand social distancing. And so I want to thank Chris especially for keeping the lines of communication open, answering all my questions, keeping me in the loop, because it's so important that our residents are kept informed because knowledge is power. And something Thomas Jefferson said, education is the only sure alliance of the preservation of our liberty. So remember, educating our residents and staff keeping the directors informed are very important. And we thank Chris very much for that. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, Security and Community Access Committee. Don. Okay, can't hear a word. Can anybody hear him?
Not me.
No, we can't hear you at all. Chuck? Can anybody hear Don at all?
No. His mic is off.
Okay.
Well, his mic shows on, but I'm wondering if his computer's got the volume set down.
I'm sorry, Don. We weren't able to hear you. Okay, you want to try again, Don?
He's got to unmute his mic.
He hasn't, but, oh, okay. He hasn't unmuted his mic.
No.
Okay. He's talking. Did I interrupt? None of us can hear him. Okay. Don? I think we'll go forward to the village traffic hearing. And that would be Egon?
Yeah, the traffic hearings were canceled in March, and they are canceled for April. The question I have, and maybe we can discuss it with the staff responsible for that, is we have people that are adamant about being heard. Is can we bring them to May or some other future meeting and let them speak? That's something we'll have to resolve. For the time being, all these meetings are canceled. It can only be done in person.
Okay, thank you. Judith, do you have anything more to say about the disaster preparedness task force?
No, that was covered. Thank you.
Okay.
President Carpenter,
Yes?
we do have a public comment on this item.
We do have something from Andre Torn, 389Q. He did want to mention that he is replacing Netta Ardani on this task force.
On the disaster preparedness task force?
Correct.
Okay. He'll be put on the GRF committee assignments next month.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll get with him to see if we're not having any meetings, obviously, right now. So we were supposed to have one on the 31st, which I neglected to mention, but obviously we had to cancel that. So right now we've postponed it to June, and we'll see how that goes. So we're not sure if that June's going to be a virtual meeting either, but I will make contact with Andre.
Thank you.
Is there any other? All right, the next item is the future agenda item. All matters listed under future agenda items are resolutions on 28-day public review or items for the future board meeting. No action will be taken by the board on these agenda items at this meeting. The board will take action on these items at a future board meeting. So we have this donation for these trees as Clubhouse 6. So Annette, would since we approved this donation policy, would we be able to work with this club for a bench on this club?
Not right now, Bunny, because we have to go through the 28-day. After that, the answer will be yes, and we'll work with Siobhan.
Okay.
Thank you. So it'll just be postponed. It'll be on future. We'll probably be ready to handle it maybe in June.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District presentation. Now, I don't know who's in charge of that or who would be responsible for that.
Bunny, that is staff. They were scheduled to come in April. We will have to reschedule with the district.
Okay.
That's a landscape item.
The landscape, okay. And then we have the resolution for the ADA compliance policy. And in closed meeting, I would like to address that with Kelly to find out where we're at that, because that's what we're waiting for. Is that correct, Siobhan? Yeah. One of the things that I didn't think of that we need to mention is the fact that we also were going to have a trust seminar, and that will be that'll be rescheduled probably June, as soon as we can all meet together. But it's to be determined. Okay. Are there any director comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. A couple. One is in terms of shutting down facilities. I am very hopeful that we are turning off lights and shutting down heating in those closed clubhouses. I know that we may have people sitting there, but in the event that it's getting cold, we may want to give them individual heaters or something just to keep them warm. But I think we can save a lot of energy money if we do. Second comment I'd like to make is that if anybody knows single people alone in their unit, it would be appreciated, I think, if you would call them, make contact with them, talk to them so that they have this contact and they're part of the community. They're not alone. So I really encourage people to do that.
Thank you, Bert. Judith? And we can't hear you, and I can't turn on your mic.
I'm sorry.
There we go.
I did it twice by accident. The new committee we formed for donation policy, now does that have to follow the 7.1 guidelines in the bylaws, where there'll be more people added to that committee?
It's not a committee. Annette and I did was review the language, and basically, if it was a committee, I don't know which committee it would go to. I just thought the only appropriate thing was for to review the language and then bring it before the board.
So like a little task force. Okay, so it could go under other on the assignment sheet. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. And
basically, Siobhan put together a donation policy, then Bunny and I went through and reviewed that. And then I believe, Bunny, did you run that by our attorney?
No. If you think we need to do that later on, we can do that. But basically, I didn't think that it was necessary.
Okay. Now, I'm going to just change the subject, and if I could, to just final comments. I just really wanted to thank BMS and our legal counsel, Siobhan, Jeff, Betty, Eileen, Paulin, everybody did a fantastic job, heroic efforts over this weekend to work with everybody, the city, all attorneys, everything. I was just so impressed with and thrilled with the outcome. Thank you all.
I agree.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. All right, Pat?
Yes, I'm just concerned about this 16C, the ADA compliance policy. For years that we have been discussing this, and the one thing that I've got from it is that we're a private community and we are not required to comply with ADA. And if we have to start complying with it, our budget would look like crazy. So we must be real careful with that issue on the ADA. Thank you.
And you're right, Pat, but Judith will talk to that.
Yeah, what happened a couple months ago, this Kelly Richardson has been working closely with Chris, and this came up with about the buses and the transportation. So for us to get, it ties into us being able to qualify for grants for the buses. We have to have a policy in place to be able to get those grants for the buses. That's just the simplest way I can say it right now. But we'll be discussing it again, like I say, in closed meeting. And
thank you, Judith. So that just affects the buses and the ADA within the buses, not the whole community. Thank you.
Right. Okay. All right. Is there any other director comments on Egon?
Yeah, just on what Pat just said earlier about us not having to comply. But in general, we have ramps and all those things that other communities have. So are we just free to, generally speaking, move along at our own discretion? And the reason I'm asking that is there's money in the Clubhouse 3 upcoming work for ADA, and I just wondered what that meant, you know, in relation to your statement. And it's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Okay, Judith is going to speak to that.
When we were doing Clubhouse 2, this came up a lot. A lot of the permits we got were, it was mandatory that we comply with the ADA on rebuilding Clubhouse 2. So yes, that is a factor with any remodeling and anytime you initiate a new permit. Thank
you. Okay.
Bonnie, could I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. I want to say amen to what Annette said. Congratulations. What a community effort working on this. The staff and all the boards and board presidents and presidents of the community working together, and thank goodness for the result. And I also would like to say, in conjunction with what Bert said, if you know someone, please call them. That's a good idea. Or if you are really, if you would like to, you could ask them to call social services or alert social services that this is a person that's alone and I'm concerned about them. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes. Yes. I forgot Chuck Holland with all these virtual meetings. Chuck, thank you so much too, and everything else virtually. I mean, I just don't know how all of you are doing this. And Eileen, I mean, just getting the word out, it's just been a heroic effort. Thank you all.
And basically, okay, Joe?
Yes, the same thing. I just want to thank the VMS for all they did, not only in the situation with the Iris Hotel, but also with the situation with the coronavirus. When we came, this happened very quickly, and they were somewhat prepared for it when it came. It didn't take us a long time to take action. They had done things in advance to make sure the employees were protected. So I think they had done a really good job of being aware of what might happen and being prepared for it. So that's just outstanding. That represents the safety of our staff and the safety of our community as well. But no, they've done a great job in both those areas, and kudos to all our residents here. I've never had a situation since I worked. I had 400 emails in one day, but they were out there for petitions. They were honking horns. They were doing everything, but they certainly were out there expressing their opinions. It's great to see that kind of unity. The only negative thing I can think of with this format, it's really hard to argue. But other than that, it's a really good day.
Well, I just have to comment and really thank Chuck for putting all this together. I think we're the first board that was having this virtual meeting, and it has gone much better than I ever expected. So I want to thank everybody. So at this point in time, we recess for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna my computer clock here says 12:23, but I'm going to say let's come back at 1 o'clock, for the closed meeting.
Bonnie, did you send lunch to everybody?
But, I thought about that yesterday, but maybe virtual meeting we could have delivery at each one of our houses.
Encourage to stop by Olive Garden first.
So,
staying outside right now.
Yes, we will have recess till 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.